Hey 10 to Lifers, welcome back to another episode of 10 to Life, what I just said with me, Annie Elise. I hope you guys are having a good start to your day. How do I want to start this case? I guess we're going to kind of jump right into it because today's case is about like a girlfriend and a boyfriend and a cam girl and a knife and a lot of interrogation footage, which like this footage, guys, is insane, which is why I'm including it. I don't know. The footage will get you every time, whether it's interrogation footage or neighbors footage or CCTV footage. So I'm going to stop talking and we are going to jump right in. Matthew Trussler, who went by Matt, was born in Hopkinton, Massachusetts on January 11th, 1994. He was the baby of the family, and pretty much from day one, he always looked up to his older brother, Sean. Now, when their parents got divorced, they really leaned on each other for support and that sense of stability. When you're a young person who's going through a big life change, it can be really helpful to have somebody like that in your life, somebody that you can really just rely on no matter what, right? Now, like a lot of older siblings, Sean kind of paved the way for Matt in terms of having someone to look up to. Matt really followed in Sean's footsteps. I mean, anything that his big brother did, he did too. Now, at some point, Sean moved from Massachusetts to the sunny Tampa, Florida area. And eventually, in 2015, Matt moved there too. Now, some people say that Matt was running away from life in Massachusetts. However, others would argue that he was just starting fresh. Now, the reason that there is a little bit of a discrepancy is because addiction was something that Matt had struggled with, and it was something that he really wanted to overcome. From what I can tell, there isn't really one specific drug that he struggled with. It seems like he kind of dabbled in a little bit of everything, all the way from weed to coke to heroin, a little bit of everything. So he wanted to get away from it all, and he wanted his older brother by his side to support him. And like a good, supportive brother, Sean got Matt a job right off the bat. See, Sean owned a home insulation company, and it was thriving. So he brought Matt in to really get on the ground floor. And it just goes to show Sean was always there for him and really ready to pick up any of the broken pieces that Matt's life kind of left behind along the way. But it wasn't like Sean was just going to do a favor for Matt out of feeling of obligation or something like that. He really believed in Matt. He knew that Matt was an extremely loving and caring person who would honestly just give the shirt off of his back to a perfect stranger. He was also a really hard worker who always showed up for his job, just ready to give 110%. Now, all to say, even though Matt definitely did have his personal demons, I mean, for sure he did, he was also serious about making a fresh start. And he was now in the perfect position to do that. He had the support from his family who lived close by. He had a job, and things were really looking up for him. Now, the only thing he didn't have yet, the only thing missing from his life, was romance. So Matt, like so many people do, take to their phone, to social media, download all the apps, and Matt went to Tinder. Now, I know some people on Tinder can be a little wishy-washy when it comes to actual relationship. I mean, it kind of had a reputation for being more of like a hookup app, at least back when I was on it 15 plus years ago. Maybe it's changed, I don't know. But it seemed like Matt got lucky when he went on this app. He came across a profile of a woman named Melissa Turner, and the rest was kind of history. Now, while they did have a lot of common interests, Melissa was very different from Matt. And maybe that's part of why they were so into each other. I mean, you know what they say, opposites attract, right? See, Matt was a pretty laid-back, reserved kind of guy who kept to himself. I mean, every now and then he could lighten up and he could be the life of the party, but it wasn't really his all-the-time personality. Melissa, on the other hand, she was very outgoing, especially online. In fact, she actually had a fan base on the internet. See, it all started when Melissa decided to lose 100 pounds when she was in her early 20s. Every single day, from 1 month to the next, she would post videos about how the process was going. She also confided in the internet and talked about how she was being bullied as a child, specifically for her weight. Well, the smaller that Melissa got, the bigger that her follower list became. And then she started branching out into other things, and it all started with her cosplaying. But then she became a cam girl, and she was really good at it. She had a ton of fans. Now, for those of you who don't know, cosplaying, let me just kind of break it down. Cosplaying is when you like dress up as something. I guess you could consider it role playing. Some people do like cosplaying and go to Comic-Con. It's just costume playing, dressing up, right? Being a cam girl and forgive me if you're a cam girl watching this and I don't describe it perfectly, but I'm going to do my best from the interpretations that I've seen out there and what I know. But being a cam girl is when you go on webcam and you could still cosplay and dress up for things, but it's more kind of like having an OnlyFans slant where maybe people will give you sexual requests, you'll get more nude, you'll show them things, sometimes you'll have sex over the webcam, sometimes you'll self-pleasure, things like that. It's just more of like an explicit version. I think it's also portrayed in, what's that show, the really haunting show that I never want my kids to fall into, and as a parent it terrifies me. What is it? It started in the pandemic. Euphoria. There's a girl on there who also does like cam girl stuff. And so when you do this, similar to OnlyFans, you collect this like wide fan base, right? It's like people are watching you. Some people have a parasocial relationship with you. They think they know you. They think you're in a relationship, all of these things. So that's really where Melissa's life was at when she connected with Matt on Tinder. They exchanged some messages in April of 2017, and then they decided to meet in person, and they really did just click. They dated and they got serious, and eventually they got engaged. By December of 2018, Matt and Melissa were actively planning their wedding and also buying their first home. The house was a beautiful tan color. It had palm trees in the front yard. It had a pretty decently sized yard with a nice in-ground pool. And I mean, as far as starter homes go, it was definitely a dream come true. A lot nicer than a lot of people can afford. And to make things even better, it was super close to where Sean and his fiancée Jennifer lived. Because even with this new partner, Matt still really relied on his brother, and he idolized him, so it was great that they lived so close to each other. Except when Sean and Matt did get together to hang out and catch up, he got the sense that Matt was holding something back, not always being totally honest with him. And when Sean would ask Matt, how things were going, he wouldn't give very detailed answers. He didn't really say much of anything. Then he just slowly started reaching out to Sean, less and less. Of course, they still saw each other at work, but things just seemed off. And by the middle of 2019, Matt just didn't seem like himself. He actually had quit working for Sean a few months prior, and Sean didn't take it well. I don't know the full details on exactly how things played out, but I do know that they had a major falling out around this time. And the main reason that Sean was so upset was because this was just so weird and so out of character for Matt. Remember, he and Sean had always had each other's backs through thick and thin, all growing up. I mean, it was the whole reason why Matt even was in Florida to begin with. So Sean had a sinking suspicion that Melissa was like this devil on Matt's shoulder, kind of telling him to quit, telling him to distance himself from his brother. And if you have siblings, you're probably familiar with this feeling, right? You know who your brother or sister are at their core. You've seen them grow up. You've seen them figure out who they are as a person. So if and when they start dating someone new and they change, and not necessarily in a good way, it's not too hard to pinpoint exactly what the problem might be, right? Now, of course, it wasn't like Sean could really see what was going on behind closed doors in Matt and Melissa's home. But he just felt like this nagging suspicion, this feeling that maybe Melissa wasn't this amazing person and this amazing partner that Matt had really made her out to be. So for 6 long months, the brothers were no contact, which I'm just going to take a guess and say that was probably the longest they had ever gone without seeing or talking to one another. Every day, Sean wondered how his younger brother was doing. Was he happy? Was he okay? Was he secure? What was going on? Well, on October 18th, 2019, he got a huge awakening. He got his answer, and it was something that would rock his world. Because that's when a call came in to 911 at around 8:30 a.m. On the other end of the line was a woman, and she was clearly frantic and very upset.
911, what is your emergency?
I woke up on my boyfriend. He was outside this morning. He's cold. He's gone. The kitchen's a bloody mess. He's not breathing.
Why is the kitchen a bloody mess?
I don't know.
What's your name?
Melissa Turner.
Now I know, it's hard to tell what exactly was going on based on that call alone. Melissa's sentences were a bit jumbled, going from detail to detail. There's blood everywhere, he's cold, he's gone, all of the things. The first responders rushed over to see what they could do, but by the time they got there, it was too late. Matt was pronounced dead on the scene. And right away, they could tell that Matt had been murdered. So of course, the police immediately got involved. And one of the lead detectives said that the scene was without a doubt the bloodiest she had ever seen. Melissa had blood all over her from trying to give Matt CPR. And now she was touching things, she was getting the blood everywhere. It was just a mess. So they gave her a pair of latex gloves and pretty much just said, like, hey, stop touching things, almost like they were dealing with a toddler. Like, you're at a crime scene. Like, stop putting your hands on everything. Matt's body was on the back patio area in the backyard, but just from the blood trails, it seemed like some kind of struggle had taken place and started in the kitchen first. Then it looked like Matt had tried to escape through a window, but only made it that far before he collapsed and unfortunately died. He also had defensive wounds on his arms, a large cut on his chest, a smaller cut on his right shoulder, and a large wound on his back that was definitely consistent with being stabbed. But it was clear Matt had put up a fight, a brutal one. He was also wearing a watch that tracked his fitness, including monitoring his heartbeat. So based on the data that was on that watch, the police knew that his heart had stopped roughly 4 hours earlier, around 4:30 in the morning. Now that was going to be very helpful in terms of determining a timeline, because remember, the 911 call didn't come in until 8:30, 4 hours after he apparently died. So right away, the detectives were asking Melissa a ton of questions, starting with where she had been and what she had been doing before that 911 call. They asked her if somebody had broken into the home or if something happened overnight. I mean, surely if somebody had, she would have heard it. But for whatever reason, she had waited until 8:30 to make that call. So Melissa explained that the night before, she and Matt had been drinking. She eventually called it a night, though. She was done drinking, but she said when she woke up the next morning, the bloody scene that I just described is really what she woke up to. She also made it clear that she couldn't really remember a whole lot from the night before. So then the detectives took Melissa into their office for an interview. And I want to be clear, this interrogation was right away. It was immediately after she left the crime scene. So much so that Melissa was still wearing those orange latex gloves that they had given her at the crime scene. And understandably, she was very emotional and just so distraught.
And today's date, just for the record, is Friday, October 18, 2019. It's 10:51 hours. Met you over there. And Miss Turner, we're going to go at your pace, okay?
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Listen, you don't...
The date called me because a month and a half ago, we went to Cade's and we picked out a living room set, but it was on back order. It was supposed to be here this week, but it was delayed.
Okay.
And it's gonna show up, and I'm gonna have this fucking couch. We picked it so it would be half my chair. It was a love seat with a console in the middle. It was supposed to be me. And it's gonna show up, and what the do I do with it now?
I don't know.
It never even got to sit it with me.
I'm so sorry.
Now, I know I probably sound like a broken record at this point, and I say it every time, and I get that everyone has different reactions to traumatic events, but that said, I cannot believe that she was sobbing and crying and like so distraught over her new couch more than she was over the actual death of the man that she was planning to marry. It's like something wasn't computing, it wasn't making sense. Now, the first thing detectives asked Melissa was about the gloves on her hands. They even asked at one point if she wanted to take them off. Now, it might not seem like a big deal. They told her it was up to her, and she said she didn't want to see his blood on her hands, which, okay, valid response, but they definitely circled back to it a lot. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, one really important thing the detectives went over was what exactly they had been drinking that night and how much. Because remember, Melissa had pretty much claimed since the minute she called 911 that she couldn't remember anything other than drinking a little bit and going to sleep. I want to mention, while we're on the topic of drinking the night before, Matt's blood alcohol level was later tested and it was 5 times the legal limit. So that did partially fit with Melissa's story about how they had been drinking a ton. However, for whatever reason, they never checked her blood alcohol level, so we can't actually say if both of them got drunk or if it was just Matt. Melissa also mentioned that while they were drinking, they started having a heart-to-heart about their life together, discussing future plans, their dreams, their goals, and so on. And at one point, the detectives asked Melissa if she and Matt ever had any disagreements, just in general, or even maybe that night during their big heart-to-heart.
We wanted to...
So there wasn't any like disagreements or any fighting, anything like that?
We didn't want kids. We had our animals. If anything, we wanted more of them. We wanted to travel the world. We wanted to just live life with each other.
What was his mood last night when you guys were talking about this? Is he just kind of talking about it and brushing it off? Was he excited about it? Was he stressed about anything?
The only thing that stressed him out was that he felt he wasn't doing his part to help with the house and money, because I did make the majority of the money, especially with him being out of a job. But I reassured him, as I had plenty of times, that him not just because he wasn't actually working and getting a paycheck didn't mean anything, because he was at the house taking care of the animals, cooking, cleaning, helping me, helped us, helped me have more time to make money.
So in your opinion, he's holding up his end of the deal just
Absolutely.
by doing the housework and everything like that?
Absolutely. And he was, and not even just doing the housework, he was fixing things around the house. We had a leak in our AC drain pipe, and there was a hole in the ceiling, and we were talking about fixing that, and there was a hole where he cut out where our dog started to chew the drywall. He cut it all out, and all he needed to do was put the drywall in and match it up. He was doing things. I mean, we just bought the house in January, so I mean, there was of course things that we needed to or wanted to change to suit us.
Did you, so you fall asleep in the chair in the office. Did you wake up at all during the night? What time did you wake up this morning?
Probably 20 minutes before. I don't know what time it was. I don't even know what time it is right now.
It's 11:33 a.m.
I don't know. I normally don't sleep in. But whatever time, I remember waking up, and I didn't see him around. I saw the kitchen was. I didn't see him outside at first. I didn't see him there. I went upstairs and I checked the bedroom. I thought he went to bed upstairs. I checked upstairs. And then I came back down again. And I saw Farrah by the sliding glass door. She wanted outside. She wanted to go outside, so I opened the door. I was really... And I saw him. He was sitting in the chair, slumped over at the table. He was cold. I pulled him to the ground.
I'm sorry. I know this must be very difficult for you.
It feels like a dream. It feels like a nightmare, because when I've had nightmares, this has been it. Losing him.
When you pulled him onto the ground, what did you do? What did you try to do? Or did you do anything?
I grabbed his face. I tried to talk to him. His eyes were open. His pupils weren't doing anything, and that scared the shit out of me. I begged him to come back to me, because I can't do this myself. I put my fingers. I tried to check for a pulse. I didn't know what to do. I ran in the house. I grabbed a cloth and put warm water on it and came back and did the same thing. I tried to start CPR, and then I went back in the house and I got my phone. It was on speakerphone with the operator while I was trying to give us.
What do you think happened?
I mean, you understand just from our standpoint, obviously, we weren't there last night. If you could just take your best guess of what you thought could have happened.
I don't know. I woke up to just see the kitchen a bloody mess.
Did anything happen between the two of you in the kitchen to cause that bloody mess? Did he have any issues with anybody else?
In what way do you mean?
Like, does he owe, I mean, is there anybody out there that wants to hurt him?
Shouldn't be. I mean, maybe my ex, he did try and shoot him before.
When was that?
2017, June, July.
Who's your ex?
Christopher Harrison, Hillsborough County. You guys are the ones that showed up to take him away. He
When's
spent
his
2
birthday?
nights in jail. His birthday is January 11th. January 28th, I don't remember. 1991.
Does he still live in Hillsborough County?
No, I believe he's living back in Polk County with Mommy.
Okay. When's the last time you talked to him?
The night he got arrested.
Do you know his phone number?
No.
And that was the June or July 2017 when he was.
It was June. The end of June.
What was he arrested for?
Domestic violence and assault with a deadly weapon. 2 counts for each. He got pissy because I had Matthew at the house. But mind you, he had just had a girl upstairs that he was fucking on her way. But Matt was sick. He had picked him up from work and brought him to the house. He explained all of this to Chris, saying, he's sick. I'm going to pick up prescriptions now for him. He's sick as a dog. But I just adopted a new cat too. So we were, that night, happened to be downstairs in the living room, playing with the cat. Normally, whenever Matt would come over, if Chris was there, we would keep to my room, just to avoid conflict and all that. But we were downstairs, we had a new cat. Why shouldn't have been a problem? Like, he was just a girl upstairs in his room. But he had wanted to fucking show his dick that night, and he came downstairs and started arguing with Matt, and Matt went upstairs because he put on his clothes, he was just gonna leave, but then Chris started yelling at me, and back and forth yelling, and it ended up with me and Matt grabbed me and just started kissing me, and Chris had his phone, funny as shit, as he was recording all of it the entire time, was just recording us kissing, and then he said something to Matt, and Matt turned and looked at him, and then Chris just whipped out a Glock, pointing straight at him, intending to shoot him. And my dumb ass stepped in front of the gun. And then he called the cops on himself. I have the video and everything. There's an intruder in my house. So he got arrested for that because he's just stupid.
Is that the last incident between the two of them?
Yes.
Does Christopher know where you all live?
I hope not.
I mean, have you told him?
No, absolutely not. He tried to message me on, social media and stuff, and I told him, basically, go yourself, anytime you try to contact me.
Okay.
So.
That's the last time you physically have seen Chris is when he got arrested?
Yes. That night.
Okay, so I know that story was confusing, but Melissa's ex, Chris, tried to kill Matt because Melissa was dating Matt. And Chris was sleeping with somebody else at the time, too. So just to, wrap it up and so that you can, follow it. But let me give you some extra context. As it turns out, in 2017, Melissa and her ex were still living together even after they broke up. Apparently, she hadn't quite gotten around to packing up and moving out yet. So this whole attempted shooting all happened 2 years earlier. But now, Melissa was saying that she thought that Chris might have killed Matt in 2019. And she had named a decent suspect. Somebody who had tried to kill Matt at least once before, even if it was a while ago. And it wasn't clear why Chris would come out of the woodwork again now, 2 years later, but that's what she was saying. And then Melissa threw out another wild theory.
When's the last...
Fuck him, he always told me he was gonna die young. And I hated him every time he said it.
Who's him? Who are we talking about here?
I'm talking about Matt. He always told me he had a feeling he was gonna die young.
When's the last time he told you that?
It's been a long while, probably a year almost. He wasn't too happy with himself whenever we first started seeing each other, and it took him a while, but he finally started to of life. She said we were planning going to Key West, to Mexico, to Bali. We had trips we were planning.
Did he ever
The
say
ring
that
is
he...
still on my finger under this stupid glove. We're engaged. We were gonna get married.
Did he ever say he was going to hurt himself or anything like that?
Not really.
Did he mention anything of that last night?
No.
About wanting to harm himself?
No.
Did he... Meaning that, did he seem upset or depressed or anything? I know he was stressed
No,
out.
but he always did his damnedest to hide it from me whenever he was sad or depressed. So, he did everything he could to hide it from me, even though I could tell, there was always a part of me that could tell when he was upset or sad.
Mm-hmm.
But he did his damnedest to hide it from me as best as he could.
So it's safe to say the detectives knew that this story made no sense. I mean, it was clear that there had been a struggle, and the stab wound was to his back. I mean, it didn't exactly scream self-harm.
Do you have any injuries on your person?
I was wearing...
You weren't wearing those gloves.
No.
Somebody, the deputy at the scene gave them to you? Here, let me get the chest one.
What happened? I see you got a Band-Aid on
I
your
was
left.
just going to ask you about that. What happened there?
We just went to the outlet stores. Valentin outlets.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to the Nike store and got new shoes. I have a blister from mine from when we were taking the dog on a walk.
Where's the blister at?
I'm gonna take the Band-Aids off.
We'll keep it on for a second. What we'd like to do is we're going to have a young lady or a young man come and just photograph you, take some overall photographs of you, and when we get to it, we'll have you move that so we can get a picture of that, okay? Would you mind
I think
taking
I
your...
did grab the glass though.
I was going to say, would you mind just taking those gloves off for me?
You put them right next to us.
Yeah, I have a little cut on my hand. But
Can we see your...
right there.
And that's from what?
I think it's from grabbing the glass. Or, because I know there was the broken glass this morning. I'm sorry, this morning's not the clearest thing in my mind. Wait.
Do you know where
I remember it was a Hard Rock glass, I believe, in the kitchen. And I think I picked up a piece of it on the floor.
We looked a little bit more. We thought your scratch was kind of small, but then we saw that it was bigger. But we also saw, like, it looks like we call it abrasion, but maybe a scratch. Tell me about that on the left side of your neck. Yeah.
This, that I don't have an actual explanation for you. Besides, I mean, I don't know. I could have done it myself this morning for all I know, going through my panic attacks and stuff, because I don't hurt myself, but sometimes I do. Like when I have an anxiety or a panic attack, I'll grab at myself without realizing it. So I don't know if that's that, but I don't know.
Did somebody else scratch you?
Not that I know of, no.
Would you know if somebody scratched you? Okay. Because you said not that I know of, so.
I mean, I don't know
if
where
he
it
scratched
came
me,
from.
I would know he scratched me, type of thing. That's why I'm asking.
I have no like real explanation for it besides like I do this when I get anxious, and this morning's been a fucking roller coaster and it's all been down.
No. And earlier when we were talking to you, we didn't know about that, so that's why we didn't ask you about it.
I don't know.
Scratch on your stomach, or the abrasion on your stomach when the Miss Patel was taking photographs. You had a red line.
Yeah, the
right
mark
there.
on my stomach. Could be from leaning over the counter, or I don't know. It's a straight line, so it's not like I got hit or something.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know if you looked at the photo, but it's like, it looks like I leaned over something wrong, or like...
It's very level. I would say.
Yeah,
it's
that's
very
what I
level.
mean. Like, I could be like me leaning over the counter or something like that. I mean, we putting up the pumpkin man, doing a little bit in the yard in the garage yesterday, and I'm accident prone.
And you said, tell me again how you cut yourself?
I don't remember exactly. Because I remember it was this morning, because I remember getting some of the blood on him. I think I was looking for a phone, and I was panicking and picked up the glass, because I knew it was this morning. I remember that. I think I just couldn't find a phone at the time between the mess that the kitchen was, and I was just panicking.
That's a pretty significant cut.
Yeah, well, I was panicking pretty fucking bad.
Does that look like a glass cut?
I don't know what it looks like. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't.
It must have been a pretty big piece of glass.
Well, I remember there was the glass in the kitchen was a big mug.
Okay.
So it could have been that. I picked that up and was panicking, kind of. I don't know. I just remember it was this morning.
Now keep in mind, this was all just the first half of the interview. It went on for a really long time. And in the meantime, the police were busy with other important work. I mean, first of all, while Melissa was in the interrogation room answering all of these questions, the officers were informing Matt's family of what had happened to him. Now, even though Sean was Matt's closest family member, I mean, both in terms of geography, because they lived really close, but also emotionally too, they started by telling Matt's mother what had happened. Then she was the one who reached out to Sean to explain things to him. Now for Sean, it was like a punch straight to his heart. Obviously, it's always terrible to learn that someone you love a lot has died and died suddenly, but it was even more heartbreaking for him because of the last 6 months. I mean, he hadn't even seen or talked with Matt. So knowing how close they had been for their whole lives and then just finding out that he had died, I mean, it literally makes me sick to my stomach. That feels like it would just be absolutely devastating. He never got to tell him goodbye, never got to hug him one last time or tell him how much he loved him. I mean, no matter how tense things were between them at the end, I have to imagine that Sean had a lot of regrets about not patching things up while he still had the chance. It's just heartbreaking. Something else important that was going on at this time, besides informing the family, was that there was also a team of investigators at Matt and Melissa's house. They were gathering evidence and they were talking to other witnesses. And apparently the next door neighbor had heard about what was going on at the house, which, I mean, I'm sure that there was probably a huge police presence, and you know how it is. You see the squad cars with the flashing lights, the police tape, you kind of like want to be nosy and know what's going on. I mean, at least I do. So someone ended up coming over and they asked what was going on. And when they realized that it was a murder investigation, the neighbors ended up telling the investigators that they had a camera on their house. It didn't point directly into Melissa and Matt's backyard, but it was close enough to their backyard that they might be able to hear something. So this was huge, and the investigators immediately got the footage and started reviewing it. Like, this could break this case wide open. And it turns out the camera was attached to the garage, so at first, the detectives kind of worried that maybe it was too far away from where Matt's body was found, but when they watched it, they could hear Melissa's call to 911. As we know, she called from that back patio where Matt's body was, so now the police knew they could hear the things that were going on back there on the patio. So they worked backwards, seeing if there was anything else that had been recorded. And there was. Between 4:30 and 5 a.m., the camera picked up a lot of arguing and shouting between a man and a woman, presumably Melissa and Matt. So this was already not matching up with what Melissa had told the detectives. I mean, number one, because she told them that she had gone to sleep around 10:30 or 11, and she had slept through the entire night, but number two, she had told them they didn't really fight. I mean, more importantly, she had told them that they rarely ever fought, and that they hadn't fought or gotten into an argument that night. So like I said, things were not matching up here. The woman on the recording also said some pretty nasty things like, "Get up and go die." I mean, that's a pretty serious argument, right? And then for somebody to show up dead the next morning, I mean, not looking good. So of course, once the police in the interrogation room with Melissa found out about all of this and got wind of it, they started getting a little more aggressive with the questions that they were asking. They asked her again, did you ever wake up in the middle of the night last night? But her story stayed the same. Nope, I went to bed around 10:30 or 11 and I never woke up once. But obviously by now, the police didn't believe anything Melissa was saying. So they straight up asked her, what were you and Matt arguing about last night?
What were you and Matthew arguing about last night?
I don't really remember. I mean, we might have gotten an argument, but it didn't seem like anything. I mean, sometimes we do whenever we get one of us, you know, whenever he drinks a little too much, but I always just brush it off and go to bed. It could have been, I'm not exactly, I don't know.
Well, the reason I'm asking is because you told the deputy that you guys were arguing. And you've been pretty detailed about everything that happened yesterday. I mean, even how you woke him up yesterday, that's pretty detailed. So I would think you would remember what you guys were arguing about. That's why I'm asking.
Because, I mean, he did have a lot to drink last night, I know that, but I don't really remember it because it kind of is not that we fight and argue all the time, but he just, you know, will just get drunk sometimes and he gets a little too amped, like wants to, I don't know, he goes on about something. Like I said, I think it was when I said he was talking, I think that's kind of ties into it. Like, I just want to go to bed, and he would be like, no, like, stay up with me, come on, let's have fun, blah, blah, blah. And we get in arguments about that sometimes because I just can't stay up, I'm just tired. And he would, drunk him would get, like, disappointed about it. So it's not, like, actual arguing, but it was more, like, made me feel guilty kind of thing, like, we weren't like screaming at each other that I know of. We were just.
How long were you guys arguing for?
I don't know exactly. Like, I wasn't keeping tabs on the time.
5 minutes.
Maybe 10.
An hour.
10, 15, I would say. Is normally our back and forth. And me, I'm like, drink some water and shut up kind of thing normally.
You probably weren't arguing with him when you had the hiccups in the.
Oh no, we weren't arguing then. I don't know because
so it must have been after the burping and the hiccups and before you went to sleep.
Yeah, it had to have been then.
Well, you mentioned the argument may have been because you just wanted to go to sleep and he's wanting to hang out and talk.
That happens, yeah.
Okay, but that was also the time you were basically falling asleep while he was giving him the and just whatever he was talking about.
That's about right.
But is it fair to say that you guys were arguing, but you just don't remember what you were arguing about?
You could say that, but I can't.
I'm not saying anything. I'm asking you. I mean, you guys.
It's fair to say we may have been, but we might not have been.
Okay.
I mean, because it wasn't significant enough for me to actually remember it.
Okay.
Seems like maybe a little tiff, back and forth, normal shit, but nothing monumental.
Okay. You would know because either you were sleeping or you weren't.
I believe I was asleep.
Okay. Were you asleep at 4 o'clock this morning?
To my knowledge, yes.
Do you remember being awake at 4 o'clock this morning?
No.
Did you and Matthew get in an argument at 4 o'clock this morning?
No.
Or 4:30, somewhere around that time frame?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
Any time between when you went to bed at 11 to when you woke up, I think you said 20 minutes before you called us, right?
It was right around, yeah.
So let me just make sure I have the right time so I'm not talking.
The call came in at 8:45.
8:45 is when the call came in, so you said about 20 minutes, maybe, even if you lost track of time, say you wake up at 8. Any time between you went to bed at 11 last night to 8 this morning, did you have any arguments with Matthew?
No, not that I know of.
Well, you say that a couple times.
Let me say this. So we've been talking to the neighbors. There's cameras all over the neighborhood. There's Ring doorbell cameras and everything.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes when we ask questions, we usually know the answers to them already. That's why we're asking you this question.
That's why I'm getting the feeling.
Around 4 o'clock this morning, something happened at your house. That's why we're asking.
Okay.
The only person, I don't know, the only person that can tell us that is you because unfortunately Matthew's not here.
I know.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't know.
Okay.
What were the neighbors saying?
It ain't what the neighbors are saying, it's what's on video.
What?
There's arguing coming from the house. It's a male and a female. And you told us earlier in your statement that the only people that were there all night long were you and Matthew.
I have no memory of any argument at 4 in the morning.
Okay.
If it was at 4 in the morning, I will tell you right now, I did not stay up until 4 in the morning. I don't know, maybe it's possible he was still up and drunk and woke me up and we got in an argument over that.
Did that happen?
If it was 4 in the morning, then my ass was dead ass asleep, and if he woke me up, then I was still half asleep.
Okay. So tell me about the argument that you and Matthew had around 4 o'clock this morning.
I have no memory of that.
Okay. But it wasn't anybody else because there wasn't anybody else there. I'm being totally transparent with you.
I have given you the information that I have.
Okay.
The argument was him waking me up because he was a night person, as I've told you guys. Him staying up till 4 in the morning whenever he got drunk is not unheard of. I would say he woke me up and we got in an argument over that because he was still up at 4 in the morning drinking. When he had a problem, he knew about it, he knew he should fix it. He was trying to work on it, but being up at 4 in the morning, drunk off your ass, wasn't doing anybody any good. And that was what the argument was about then.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, you do have memory of what happened, right?
Yes.
At 4 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay, so you're obviously upset because, so I'm following, he's drinking until the wee hours of the morning.
Correct.
And that upsets you because of whatever he's doing wakes you up, and that's why you were upset.
I'm upset, yeah, because he comes and wakes me up, but also because...
Did he purposely come and shake you and wake you up, or did he just be noisy and that's what woke you up?
For me, and for me to wake up like that, he woke me up.
Okay.
Himself.
And so, what happens from there then? Now that you're awake and you're having this memory of arguing with him at 4 o'clock, what do you remember from that time?
I remember having the argument. I don't remember the kitchen there was no broken glass, there was no blood anywhere, nothing. I just remember arguing with him.
Was there anybody else there?
Not that I saw.
Well, you guys have a doorbell camera, right?
Oh, we have a camera, yeah. It's a motion activated one, so but it's on a delay, so if my dog walks past and sets it off, 10 seconds before, it's not gonna go off again when the door opens, through the... Does that make... Yeah, and it's got the delay on it, so it's not just constantly recording things.
So when you were arguing with Matthew, there was nobody else there that you saw?
No, not that I saw.
Okay. Why were you yelling at him, bitch, get up, all that stuff?
Because he has a tendency sometimes, actually a lot of the times whenever he is drinking and gets that drunk into the hours of the morning, he will just fall over. He'd be standing, he'd be sitting, and he will just fall on the floor because he just gets that drunk. And I might have been, yeah, so I was upset with him and was yelling at him because I was upset that he had done that again.
So that was a lot, but there's one thing Melissa just said that I want to draw attention to, especially because it was really quick and kind of easy to miss. She said she had security cameras at her house, but they wouldn't have recorded anything, and that's going to be really important, so I just want you to kind of keep that in mind, in the back of your mind, okay? I also think that it's so interesting that she wasn't crying anymore. She wasn't acting like she was so wrecked by grief, but instead, it really seemed like she was saying whatever she could to save herself.
Was it an accident? Because you were upset he woke you up?
I would never stab him.
Okay. Well, what happened? Help me, okay?
That, I don't know.
Help me help you.
I don't know that
He's got wounds. The only people that think of it from let's imagine you're sitting right here, okay?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's just imagine for a second that you're sitting here in my seat and I'm sitting in yours, and I'm telling you the same story you're telling me. It doesn't even something happened. I need to know, was it an accident or just you reacting because you were upset and then you realized, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. Or was this something that was planned that you were going to be doing this?
I did not plan it.
I don't know.
Help us understand is what he's saying.
I love that man with all my heart. I never had those thoughts in my mind. My thoughts were, what am I going to buy him for Christmas? I don't know what happened. If it was an accident, then something. I wouldn't have let him just die had I known that anything like that had happened.
So there was no accidents.
I did not.
Because I'm gonna give you another little tidbit. There was something else that was overheard on that video.
What?
I'm not going to tell you what it was. I'm not going to give you everything. I told you I've been doing this for a little while. I'm not going to give you everything. I've given you enough. I've given you enough. You said something else. It doesn't look very good for yourself in regards to this incident. I want you to think back about that argument that you had and everything that you were saying or that you could have said. You made a statement. I'm not going to tell you what it was. But what I will ask, what did you do? Which one? This one or this one?
That one is not me.
Tell me about this one. I know that you wouldn't intentionally do it, but I know that an argument happened and the only two that were there were you and him. He's dead. You're not. You got a slice on your hand. A slice. That's what that is. It's a slice. How did that happen? It's not from glass. I can tell you that. I've been doing this.
I mean, I know I picked up, maybe it wasn't from it. I know I picked up the glass this morning. Maybe it wasn't from it.
I've been doing this for a long time. This one?
It is that one.
It's this one. Tell me. Tell me what happened. He pissed you off then. You didn't want to get up. He drinks too much. He called you names. You didn't like it. You got fed up with it. You said, you actually said, go f*** yourself.
And he's told me to go f*** myself.
I know.
So help us understand that he's telling you you're saying you're not a cold-blooded killer, right? Okay. So obviously something happened because Matthew isn't with us. So what we're trying to get is what led to that versus the other side just makes you look like a cold-blooded killer if you sit here and say you don't know.
Listen, I just held my hands out, and when I said this one or this one, you said not that one, that one.
I would not.
I don't think you would intentionally do it. I don't. I see all those tears right there in the middle of your chest. I need to know why. What happened? The only person that could have done this is you. You're the only person there. This one? Or this one? I don't think you're this one.
He's never... He was never violent towards me.
So why did you react that way? I'm asking you. I'm asking you.
He's...
This one or this one? This is your chance.
He gets drunk. He's never been violent towards me. He does get his knives out sometimes. And I don't want to tell you that he's put his hands on me. It's because it's not like he hits me, but he sometimes would maybe grab me or something and try, like, that sort of thing. he didn't hit me, and anything like this only happened whenever he was that drunk, where he was gone. He wasn't him anymore. I can't tell you why, if that's...
So eventually, Melissa said that while they were fighting, she pissed off Matt, and things escalated. He had a knife, and she was fighting to get it out of his hand, and that's how she got cut. But then, conveniently, just as the detectives were about to really get somewhere with Melissa, and she was starting to, panic and get careless with her words, she just shut the whole thing down. And she asked for a lawyer, which is her right to do. But just a few hours later, while she was still in the interrogation room, covered up with a blanket and eating a Happy Meal from McDonald's that one of the officers had presumably brought to her, Melissa was arrested, and she was charged with second-degree murder.
Yeah, Bojang was okay. I can eat that every day.
All right, Ms. Turner. We went back to the scene and we talked to the state attorneys and we consulted with them based on the statements and the evidence. We're going to have to place you under arrest, okay?
We'll let you continue eating this. I'm just going to hold it for you for now, okay?
Is a drink right at your foot?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Double cup.
I'll put these on your feet, okay? You still have those shoes on there?
No.
Take them off.
They collected them.
No, please don't kick me.
Move your leg forward a little bit so you can get to it.
I'm not pinching you, am I?
No.
Is that too tight?
No.
Yes or no?
No.
We got to do some paperwork, and then we'll get you over to the jail. Meanwhile, we're going to move you over to the other holding cell, and we'll let you eat that, okay? Do you want to know what you're being charged with, or? Well, I'm going to tell you. You're being charged with second-degree murder with a weapon. So go ahead and come up for us. We're going to walk you over there. We'll let you keep in there.
The exact moment that Sean and his fiancée Jennifer learned about Melissa's arrest, they weren't even surprised. Now, like I mentioned earlier, Sean really believed that Melissa had been extremely like this controlling girlfriend that was probably the reason for Matt quitting and cutting ties with Sean. So it was not a shock at all that she had hurt Matt. The only question and the only mystery was why she would go so far as to murder him. The rest of Matt's family, though, they had their own theories. And frankly, they weren't the nicest theories. They were a little quick to judge Melissa. See, it seemed like they didn't approve at all of her being a cam girl. And I mean, let's be clear, murder is a shitty thing to do, judge away. But Matt and his relatives also disliked Melissa for reasons that, in fairness, don't seem very fair to hate on her for. If she was controlling and violent, yes, that's enough. You don't have to attack her for things that aren't actually a problem on top of that, such as what she does for a living. But they especially just didn't love it when they found out that Matt had actually made an appearance in a few of Melissa's sexually explicit videos. They didn't know about these videos while he was alive, but they did learn about them as a result of the murder investigation. So the family figured that after Matt quit working for his brother, he was probably desperate for money. So, I mean, he had just bought a house with Melissa after all. So Sean believed that maybe Matt got involved in Melissa's work because it was a way to make pretty good money, and that he just wanted a cut of it. And Sean also thought that Matt might have wanted to quit after just making a few videos. Like, okay, I tried this, I got some cash, but I don't want to be in this my whole life. So in Sean's mind, Matt told Melissa that he wanted to quit. They argued, and then she killed him. Now, like I said, this is all just one theory, the one that came from Matt's family. I'm not saying that if you do sex work, you're desperate for money, or that it's only something somebody would really do in a super desperate situation. Really, it's hard to even know the full story without Matt here to explain. He could have loved being a part of those videos for all we know. Who knows? Maybe it was a situation that just sort of kind of built and built over time, sort of like the Courtney Clenny case, where the relationship's toxicity and God only knows what else just piled on until one day Melissa snapped. I mean, as people who ingest true crime pretty much daily, we always want a reason and a motive to really put things together in a way that we can understand. But it's real life. It's not like the New York Times best-selling thriller novel here. Sometimes there is no reason. Sometimes people are just evil and do evil things. So then on October 7th, 2019, Matt's autopsy report came back. And a lot of it confirmed what we already know. Superficial stab wounds to his chest and his back, defensive wounds on his arms, and a deep cut on his right bicep that had severed an artery. That is what made him bleed out. It was the arm injury, not the one on his chest or his back, that ultimately killed him. And this was really devastating because this injury didn't kill him immediately. He didn't bleed out right away. So if Melissa had called 911 right after she cut his bicep, gotten him treatment, he might have survived this whole thing. Then the next big piece of evidence came out just a month later on December 9th, 2019. That's when the police searched Melissa's phone, and on top of looking at her calls and her text messages, they saw what was on her ADT security camera app. Now, the camera, unfortunately, didn't catch the actual murder. That would have been an entire other thing if it had. But what it did catch was pretty much up for debate. So in the footage, Melissa walks across the screen, heading toward her office at 3:38 a.m. Then Matt goes the other way to a separate room at 3:42 a.m. That's when Melissa follows him to whatever room he's going into. And going by body language, it seems like Matt was just kind of like chill. He didn't seem emotional, he wasn't crying or running, just walking from one room to another. Melissa, on the other hand, was clearly crying and clearly running behind him. Needless to say, she was like the opposite of chill. Then after this, there's a small jump in time to 4:01 a.m. That's when Melissa heads towards the kitchen, still crying, still distressed. And that's also right around the time that the neighbor's camera caught that audio from their argument. Then, 7 minutes later at 4:08 a.m., Melissa shows up on camera again, looking like something out of a horror movie. I mean, her head is down, she looks like she's talking to somebody, it could be herself. She's facing the door, so it's hard to say who's on the other side, if anyone. But the scariest thing was that there was a bloody cut on Melissa's hand, which was not there in any of the other clips. So she had more than likely just stabbed Matt. And if everything went down the way the detectives believe it did, Matt was probably laying there for a while, just slowly bleeding out while she just stood and watched, maybe even talking to him. He was probably begging for help and pleading with her while he was literally dying when, remember, it was overheard that she literally told him to die. And thanks to that security camera footage, we know exactly when this all happened. Melissa probably stabbed Matt at 4:08 when she showed up on camera with blood on her hands. But she didn't yell, "So die," until 4:33. So it was a little over 20 minutes later, and he was still alive, and she still hadn't tried to get him help. Those same cameras also caught Melissa walking through the house toward her office at 8:35 a.m., which was right before she called 911. Again, it's not like these clips showed Melissa picking up a knife and stabbing him, but the investigators felt like it showed that Matt had been trying to de-escalate the situation by going to another room, and that Melissa was the perpetrator following him from room to room. Not to mention, if this was a heat-of-a-moment thing, you would think that she could have called an ambulance once she had calmed down after a few minutes, while he was still bleeding out. But she didn't. She just coldly watched him die. Now, even with how bad all of that looked, the state still offered Melissa a plea deal. They said that she would only have to serve 25 years if she pled guilty. But her lawyer came back and said, nope, no thanks, make it 5 years or else we're going to trial. And obviously 5 years wasn't about to cut it, so the offer was dismissed and her case went to trial. But just a few days before the trial was supposed to begin, she gave an interview with a local news station.
And then turned me around and he had his hands around my throat. And my right hand was sliced open, and I used my left hand. I could feel the knife that he had. It was on the counter. And that's when I picked it up because he wouldn't stop. I thought he was gonna kill me. That's where the stab in his back came from.
I mean, I'll just be honest. We knew self-defense was coming since she already had said in her interrogation, that Matt had started the fight that night. But Matt strangling her, this was definitely new and it was out of left field. which her trial began on Valentine's Day, 2022, which how sick. I mean, on a day that was supposed to be about love and being, each other's soulmate and all of these things, she went to court and tried to justify her killing her fiancé. The prosecution was arguing, obviously, that Melissa had killed Matt in cold blood. They were very clear in their opening statements that this was not an accident. It was not self-defense. It was murder. But when Melissa had a chance to testify in her defense, of course, she made herself look like the victim. She said that after Matt woke her up at 4 a.m., he got violent and he tried strangling her. And her exact words were, "He had pushed me into the countertop. I had marks on my stomach, and then he turned me around and had his hands around my throat. We ended up struggling back and forth for the knife. I got my hand sliced open." She claimed that she didn't want to hurt him, she loved him, but essentially she had to do everything she could to make him stop choking her. She also claimed that she only stabbed him once in the back just to, quote, "get him off of me." Yet, obviously, we know he had more injuries than just that one. And we can't forget it was the wound on his arm that caused him to bleed out, not the one on his back. She also testified that Matt had, quote, acted strangely in the past and was also being weird that night. She claimed that he would stare at random corners of the house, claiming that a demon was standing there. Like I said, the prosecution was buying absolutely none of it. But at one point, she started crying during her testimony. I mean, this was crazy, and this wasn't even the half of it. I mean, insinuating, are you just crying because you could cry on cue? I mean, it got even worse. Besides Melissa's testimony, her lawyer also tried to make Matt sound like a man who drank too much on top of being a recovering addict, like trying to support Melissa's testimony that he just snapped and attacked her because he was unstable. They also tried to act like the security footage wasn't that reliable, like you couldn't actually tell whether that was blood on her hands or not, which maybe they looked at different footage, I don't know, because it looked pretty clear to me. They also said that it was nearly impossible to hear what Melissa was saying on the neighbor's camera audio. And this will really piss you off because I know it definitely pissed me off. But Melissa's defense attorney even said at one point, quote, "I find it highly suspicious that Miss Turner's voice is screeching loud. But when it came to Matthew Trussler, you could barely hear mumbling." So he was trying to imply the audio had been tampered with, like Melissa was louder because somebody had added her voice or amped it up somehow. And not like, I don't know, maybe you couldn't really hear Matt because Matt was dying and not in a position to be like projecting his voice and being loud. It just angers me. So Melissa's trial lasted a full week, but deliberations only lasted about 7 hours before the jury finally came back and found Melissa guilty of second-degree murder. She was sentenced to 20.5 years in prison. And just like during her trial, Melissa couldn't wait to have her moment in the limelight, and she gave a very tearful and, in my opinion, very fake impact statement.
I didn't want to do that to him. The last thing that he wanted, and I knew it because he always tried to hide everything, his drinking, his mental health, and how depressed he was. He tried to hide it from everyone. The last thing that he would want was for the world to know any of it.
Her mother saw it too.
I'm her mom. She's never been a confrontational person. She tries to avoid it and hide her pain.
More importantly, though, Matt's family finally got the chance to make their voices heard.
The story that you have contrived has caused me as much pain as his death. You and I both know that Matthew was the best thing that ever happened to you.
This is not a story of a poor innocent girl. This is a woman who intentionally isolated and manipulated a good kid away from his loving, supportive family.
In the end, it seems like justice was served, but at what cost? Matt's family will never get to see his smiling face again. Sean and Matt will never have the opportunity to repair their relationship as such close brothers. Melissa tried to smear Matt's memory and reputation through the mud all during the trial. And for what? What was the motive? What was the reason here? He was taken so young. And for what? Because she was mad at her boyfriend and they were drunk together? Was it because he didn't want to do cam work anymore? Like, we still don't know the answers to why that happened. Honestly, we don't. And it could very much have been a Courtney Clenny situation like I alluded to earlier, which if you aren't familiar with that case, I will link it in the show notes. I'll try to remember to link it in the show notes, but it's the OnlyFans murder where Courtney and her boyfriend Christian had this very tumultuous, very toxic relationship. She was an OnlyFans girl, similar to how Melissa was a cam girl. And then in one of their arguments, she, according to her, threw a knife at him and it stabbed him and he bled out. But like, it's very, very similar in the sense that, like, was it just this toxic relationship and she was drunk and thought it wasn't going to really cause damage? Not that that makes it okay, obviously, duh. But, like, didn't think it was going to end in murder and, like, was just, like, mad and, like, couldn't control her emotions. I don't really know. Or was there more of a motive behind it where, like, as I said, was he refusing to do cam work with her that night? Was he going to leave her? I don't really know. I don't know. And I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. I mean, based on what you've seen in the footage, if you've heard about this case, what I just told you, what do you think even makes sense in this? Because it doesn't make sense to me. It really just doesn't. I don't know. It's so infuriating. So I appreciate you hearing Matt's story today so that his voice can live on and we can identify this monster Melissa for, like, the vile human that she is. So thank you for tuning in. All right, guys, I'll be back with you with another case very soon. But until then, please just stay safe and watch your backs. Watch your backs, your fronts, your body part, watch everything, because there are just, like, a bunch of nut jobs out there. All right, guys, stay safe. Bye.